Merry meet and welcome to Silver Haven Wolves DP and Life channel. In this episode, I will be kitting up a Timu diamond painting canvas. Don't think it has a name. I just call it the girl in green. Green hair, green bear. What's up, Kate?
You have your left arm.
Oh,
It's only $8.50.
it's fine. Come on. Get it done. So I can do my thing. Excuse me, y'all. My son has to have his nightly arm time in order to sleep.
Are you recording
Yes.
daily
Well, I'm trying to.
or nightly?
Trying to. I don't make it every day. But weird stuff.
Like Tommy
No,
or
no.
Angel?
Yeah, no Angel, no Tommy, just do the usual. Hugs, loves, and kiss. Hug the arm. Yeah. What do you say? Okay, no sniffing, silly. No sniff. No sniffing on my face. Yeah, that sounds like no it doesn't. Alright, hold on. Alright. Bzzz. Dink.
You're back to recording?
Yes, I've been recording the whole time. But it is and life. So
Are
you
you
are a part of my life.
and are you recording for the next 12 hours?
No, I won't be able to wait that long, sweetie.
What time do you record?
I don't know, sweetie. But go on to bed now, okay? Love you. See you in the morning.
Can I sleep with Sophia and squeeze her?
Love you. See you in the morning, buddy. Alright, sorry about that. My 17-year-old son's autistic and he has a nightly ritual which we have reduced it down to just hugging my left arm, saying I love you, and kisses my left arm. And then I just roll my elbow around like this, and then like instead of like fist bump, I do elbow bump to his cheek, like a like a bee sting. Just a little thing he does. It's the only way he can really sleep for the most part. But let's get back to this. We have, as you can see, green hair, green teddy bear, green eyes, beautiful. And then we have the colors, which of course has plenty of greens and some oranges and purples, even kind of a pinky purple taupe color. There's a pink down at the end here. So we are going to kit this up here in just a second. I do want to choose a washi tape so that when I have them in here, I know which is which drills go to which set and which canvas, until I can get my containers organized. Because I bought a third one, so now I can do one for square drills, one for round drills, and then the other one goes for the odds and ends that aren't the DMC colors, because and whatever extra excess stuff like trays and pins and murder tweezers. I don't even know if you can see anything now. I am so sorry. Let me stand up and check. There we go. Ow. My leg does not like me standing up on it. I'm sorry, guys and gals, however you like to be called. I'm trying to get this to straighten up some so I can sit and do this without too much problems. Alright, which one do I feel like? I don't want to use the huge ones because this is just a small section. I only usually do just the bottom so that it matches with, and I can tell which is which for my drill cases. So let's see. Maybe I will go with one that has, I think the Libra. Sands of Time. Maybe? Or candles. Moon. Kinds of neat designs. Illuminati. Or maybe we could just do a green background with stars and the moon shapes. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll work on that one with that. Alright. I'm gonna put this one from, I don't remember who I got it, where I got it from, but I'll probably just set that down in here for now. I don't know if it go with it, but oops. Alright, let's set up numbers for the I think I lost my pencil. It is, I guess. I didn't really want to do that, but nine. Four, 71. Five, 50. Five, 62. 7, 4, 7, 21, 8, 23, 8, 90. No, 8, 34. Here we go. I'll switch it around because that doesn't go there. But we got 834. $30.41, $36.89, $37.21. There you go. Got that written down. Alright. And we are going to using the tape or the washi tape. Put that there. We got what, 20, so 2, 4, 3, 4, 6, 8. Keegan, you need to calm down, buddy. It's okay. Go to bed about 8:39 o'clock. He just started going back to school, a regular brick and mortar school this year. He'd been doing homeschool before that. He used to go to school up until 4th grade when something happened, but we didn't know what because he could not communicate it to us. It was nonverbal. Well, after he turned a year old, he was nonverbal. When he was born, he was surpassing all the milestones rather quickly. He could turn himself around and start turning over around 3 months of age. He started talking around 5 months of age. He even, as he was born and being a little patootie for the nurses in NICU, he would hold his head up rigid and would not let you put his head down. and I was afraid of, breaking his neck, so I didn't try to push his little head down. So, he, was that way. He was just a smart little boy. The only thing he was ever behind on as a milestone, I would say, would be sitting up by himself. He couldn't just sit up by himself. But he used to, my mother-in-law, because I was working, would watch him, and she would tell me over and over again that even at 5 months old, he was able to pull himself up in the pack and play, and, he would bounce. He'd hold himself up in the pack and play, and bounce on his legs. And I think that attributed to the leg strength, and he was literally walking at 9 months old. He never got to did the crawling thing either, because of the fact that with myself working and my husband at the time working too, neither one of us were home much to clean, keep the floors clean, and my mother-in-law had 14 chihuahuas, and 2 of the females she bred and sold, baby chihuahuas. So with that, we never let him on the floor in the main part of the house. Now, those of y'all who have subscribed and have heard a little bit that I live in the apartment side of the house now, and my ex-husband is trying to fix the house up, because this house was built in 1980, and it needs quite a bit of repairs. So, with doing that, the boys and I moved to this side of the house. And we did that too back when he started walking, because I didn't want him being on the floor over there, because my mother-in-law couldn't clean it, and her granddaughter didn't clean it properly either. She'd be using 3 or 4 day old mop water to try to clean the floors, and I would have to go late at night after work, or in the late afternoons, evenings, depending on what shift I worked. Would sit there and have to try to do the floors in between taking care of what other household chores that need to be done. That's what that was like. But Keegan was, like I said, started talking at 5 months old, and he was walking at 9 months old. By the time, his first birthday rolled around and stuff, he could literally sit there and have, 3 to 4 word sentence conversations with you. It was really neat. And you know how baby's first words are usually dada, because it's easier. Well, Keegan's first word when he was 5 months old, and because I was the one with him most of the time, was mama. Alright, got that part done. So then we'll put the number stickers on. And usually what I do is, when I'm done and I've had enough, I will try to combine all my colors that I can with the same number and colors if they're matched pretty much. And then and I either put them in baggies or, well, usually I'll try to, if I got bigger bags, I'll try to fill up, especially the 310s, the 823s, and the 9, I think it's 939. Those are the big ones that usually have a lot in the, depending on the size of your picture. Then, yeah, I would sort it all out that way. That way I can reuse a lot of these containers so I can bag them and stack them all up. But, yeah, sorry about that. And getting back to the story of my oldest son, Keegan, he, after he turned a year old, it was literally a week after. It was like a flip, light switch had flipped on in his brain or flipped off. He quit talking. You couldn't really pick him up and console him or hold him. And he regressed big time. His back taking care of almost a newborn. The one saving grace was even before he was born, his dad and I had agreed on getting Baby First TV. Something for them. Meow. Sorry about that. The cat had something to say. That was my daughter. So with that, and then of course him being already, smart, just, he even still now has trouble. Oh, did I put that? Let me see. Yeah, but I'm silly, I can just move this around. Put that one over here. Move that way. There we go. Yeah, so with Baby First, that helped a lot. Because since he couldn't talk anymore, and he had a hard time even trying, he did start learning sign language. So, and that helped. Because I already knew sign language to a point, because I've always been interested in knowing that, and plus I've had some friends. Probably should have waited till I put stuff in there, but oh well. Redundancy is my name here today. But he used to sit there and grunt and kind of scream and point and stuff if there were things he needed. Sometimes it took us forever, and he'd just get really upset and start banging his head against the corner of the refrigerator door. We literally had to baby-proof every kind of thing possible. He would sit because you couldn't really touch him, and you couldn't just let him wander around. So unfortunately, I did have to use the pack and play as a containment center for him if I had stuff I had to do. Because at that same time, with doing all that and working, I was also taking care of my mother-in-law when she needed it, help taking care of the lady that she was originally taking care of, and trying to keep the household, or help my mother-in-law keep the household running. Alright, done with the labeling, stuff like that. Alright, I'm gonna move this out of the way for a second. That's for a minute. Oh, tired. Sorry. I don't know what it is anymore. I'm just so tired all the time. I'm doing this to try to keep myself focused. I need this in order to make sure I'm using the colors right. These are massive. So sorry about that. Alright. Hoping this is not staticky because I don't know where the things are. Usually I cut these all apart too first so it makes it easier for me. But yeah, it's gotten my dad. I couldn't have him in the bathroom with me when I'm doing bathroom things and getting ready for work and stuff like that. So he'd sit in his pack and play. Sorry, I would get distracted with this and all that stuff. And then for a while there, when he was about 3 or so, he still wasn't talking much. He would say a few things, but mostly just stimming and noises that he would say over and over and over again. Yeah. But at that point in time, their dad and I were having issues and stuff. And I just wasn't happy here. Not being able to do much other than working and taking care of the house. And he was working all day, but wasn't doing much to help me out with Keegan. So, and at that time, the trailer up in the front of the property, the people who were there had moved out, so his mother allowed us to move up there so we'd have a little bit more space. Also in that time frame, we had had another baby, or another child, baby at the time, and my daughter, and it was just really not too much room, because this is only a 1-bedroom apartment that has a living room, bathroom, and a small rinky-dink kitchen. So we moved up to the trailer there, which was like a double wide. It had a kitchen, an area that could have been used as a dining room, but I used it as a play area for the kids. And then we had a little office area, living room, and there was 3 bedrooms, a master bedroom and then 2 other bedrooms, and of course like the 1 bathroom. And we were staying up there for a while, and it seemed to be doing good and things, but he just wasn't doing what I thought he should be doing, or helping with the kids and stuff like that, and it was just hard for me. And every time I tried to do certain things, his mother, my mother-in-law, would always try to correct me and tell me how I'm doing things wrong, especially when it came to the cooking. Mind you, I've been cooking since I was like 5. That's when I started cooking. So I knew what I was doing and how to do things, and just because I wasn't doing it her way did not mean it was wrong. And I told her that quite a few times. And anytime she had a, fly in her bonnet, she'd let loose on me with everything that I apparently was doing wrong. Oh, what am I doing? Wrong color. Okay, Ryan, pay attention, Whitney. I gotta get that little bucket thing I wanted to use for the trash here, but I don't like leaving it on the table when I'm doing stuff like this. bag. Okay, I'm gonna put it around. Sorry. My leg, the pain in my leg is starting to shoot again. I don't know what I do with my leg, but if I sleep at night and my foot turns a certain way, then it is very painful to get up in the morning. I can't stand on my right leg and stuff, but that's besides the point. Y'all don't want to hear about my medical issues and whatnot. Keegan, he, so at that time, we, yeah, I had finally, I did one thing I swore I would never do. Not to separate, but I did separate with him. I told him he needed to figure out what he wanted, whether his mother in this house was so much more important than us. And I told him that, and I told him that I would go back north and I would stay with my mom, because I was not going to kick my little sister and her boyfriend and kids out of the trailer that my mom had bought me originally. And when I moved down to Florida, my little sister and her boyfriend and children moved in. So I moved up there with my mom. I told him he had a choice, it's either me and the kids or his mom or the house, because basically it was the house. He didn't pay attention to his mom much at all. As in, not pay attention like in a rude way, as a, not caring for her and stuff, and he did care for her and he helped take care of her. But the whole, if she would say whatever, do stuff, and she would do that, but like if she would say stuff, he didn't care whatever it was she said. He didn't pay any attention to anything she ever said, especially when it was about me or the kid when she was complaining. He never, tried to stand up for me or anything. So that was that. Put that second one over to the side. And with that, I went back north, and at that time, also another contention back then was the fact that he and his mother would not allow me to get Keegan tested. But when that switch flipped, and after about a year of it, watching it, I knew what it was. I'd seen enough like medical documentaries and stuff and all that to know exactly what it was. But they would not let me get him assessed and tested because they did not want him to be misdiagnosed or diagnosed wrongly or mislabeled or anything like that, Which, I can understand because they had issues with him as a child, their dad. So, I do understand all that. But, so when I went north, I went to the school board. And they helped me. They assessed him and they told me I needed to take him to a doctor that, the school uses. Had him assessed and found out he was severely autistic. And ADHD. The ADHD, I think, came about. He had it the whole time, but he wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until after, I think, we moved back down here. Or it could have been up north, I can't really remember that. But, and with that, he was able to start school there. At 3 years old, he went to a kind of preschool type thing. And he went there until he could start the regular school, kindergarten and stuff. He went to preschool for like 2 years. They kept him in there, and then he started. I think he was still there, or he was in kindergarten up there, and then we had moved back down here, but they couldn't put him back in kindergarten down here to get him into a school until like there's only 2 weeks left of the school year. I'm like, are you people kidding me? You don't have like the summer program up north? But apparently not. Okay, what am I doing? Number 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and with that, he started to speak a few words. Just a gist. And I do have to say, he did have a little bit of the, where he would, sit there and, when we moved north, and I don't know if it was just because of the change of everything, that his appetite had changed, because he used to eat anything and everything, like he used to eat yogurts and stuff, and like oatmeal and all kinds of stuff. But when we got north, he quit eating the yogurts and the oatmeal. He still ate other breakfast stuff, but he didn't start using silverware like forks and spoons until he was almost, he was like 5 years old. Sorry, excuse me. I don't know why my body wants to hiccup now, but it does. And then, so when we moved back here, he still really wasn't talking much. But back then, he was my beautiful, silent, but clean, like the next to God type clean. He was a clean boy. He could not stand to have a speck of dirt on him. He would cry. He could not have his stuff out of, all his stuff had to be all the same, all the same colors together, the usual stuff. All, smallest to biggest, or biggest to smallest, whichever way it was, he had it. Stuff like that. He could read. By the time he was 3 years old, he could read, and, or maybe it was 4, but he was reading and writing. It took me a little longer to figure out that he could read, although I don't know why, my brain was just slow at that moment. Now what am I doing? I don't want 13. I want 7. Yep, I'm losing it. Continue watching. Thank you. Wait, what is this? This is not the... Okay. Sorry, my music stopped. So now I'm going to locate another one. See, forest magic, ancestors calling, autumn magic, my bond, harp, Celtic music, the hearth witch. Don't want to do Aphrodite's bath. The green witch, divination witch, druid path, kitchen witch. Sea witch's bedroom. Fairyland. Forest witch. Oh, string pacing. Monolith. to track. Sorry. Second part. Oh, that's a new one. So many people. Get that one. Last one. Get that one. Let's go with Leonard.
I have always said that I am gonna get my degree one day.
Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. Not really. Huh. There we go. But when we had moved back here and he got into school, he'd gone all the way up until about 4th grade. And then partway through 4th grade, he started having problems at school and he could not communicate it because even though he said a few words and he did talk, I mean, he said a lot of words really, but he didn't communicate with us. He could not tell us, like, on day to day, like things that are going on and stuff like that. He could not read facial features, couldn't tell emotions, what were what. It took him a long time. He used to practice in the mirror and stuff to make faces to learn what they look like and what they mean. And he still sometimes can't interpret when, like, sometimes if I'm frowning or something, he thinks I'm mad when I'm not. Like I'm just either hurting or something. Plus, I have a issue with the right side of my face. It droops down. And I don't know if that was something from when I was in utero or what. In the womb. Because I had issues before I was even born. But, so, like, the right side of my face is kind of a lot lower, and my lip, the right side of my lip hangs down instead of going straight. So I don't even have a actual, I guess, a real smile, you could say. But, so he has a hard time still interpreting sometimes, especially if I'm in pain and stuff. It looks like I'm mad, but I'm not. But he, stuff started happening at the school to where he would quit. He would get really mad and upset and he didn't even want to get on the bus anymore. That was his favorite thing. That's a little too loud. And I would wind up having to either take him to school or he would wind up, I think he stayed home for a month before he even went back. Dad started trying to put him back to school because at that time I was also learning how to take care. And my mother-in-law had gone on to home dialysis because they were literally killing her every time she went into the dialysis place because they weren't paying attention very well. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. So we had learned that, and since when I moved back down here from up north, I wound up taking over and taking care of my mother-in-law, and I mean full time, literally taking care of, doing the dialysis. I took over the house, almost basically all household stuff, the chores, the things like that. I started to keep track of her medicine and the medicine for the old lady that she originally was taking care of. and stuff like that. And then I had to deal also with the home dialysis of sitting with her because I did not work. Their dad, when we moved back down here, did not want me to work because of the Keegan being autistic, and nobody here could really take care of him anymore because my mother-in-law's health was declining. So, with that, I didn't get a job and go back to work. I stayed home. He started to refuse getting on the bus, and the bus was his favorite thing. He absolutely loved school buses. I mean, like, literally, when we were living up in the trailer before I moved back north, he had actually gotten up and snuck out of the house. Luckily enough, I'm a light sleeper, and I realized he was up and moving, but he was too fast for me, and he had gotten onto the high school bus because they seen him out there, and he was just looking at the bus. And luckily enough, they just stopped until I got outside. I figured it out when I heard the bus out there, what was going on. I got him off the bus, brought him in that time, but yeah. So when he refused to quit going on the bus, and then I had to try to take time out of, the dialysis thing, well, not take time, he would have to sit here until I could take him to the school, which being I had to wait until my mother-in-law's dialysis was done to take him to school, and then usually within an hour or two they'd be calling me to pick him up because he was not having it. Whatever it was, somebody or something was whether it was a child or one of the adults there, he just refused. Then he started refusing to go, and all that. And I couldn't keep trying to take him up there, and then an hour later, or whatever, go back because once my mother-in-law was done with her dialysis, I of course had to clean the machine, take everything out, clean it, and set it up for the next day's dialysis session. And either take her to doctor's appointments, whatnot, medicine, and I just could not keep doing that, so I finally had to just go up there and sign him out of school. And technically didn't really do any kind of school stuff for 3 or 4 years because he just refused. Even tried, we signed him up for the Unschoolers of Florida. That way he could learn whatever he wanted, and he would. I mean, we'd buy math books and schoolwork, because he loved that. And he was literally like 1 or 2 grades ahead anyways in that. And then, the only thing he was really suffering was the English and the history, the science, and math he was pretty good with. And I kind of kept up on those when I could. When he was doing speech therapy, though, he had a couple of issues with a couple of them. He finally found somebody that did good with him, and she told me to start bringing in his English workbook, and she started working with him. So by the time that he had quit going there because he started going back to school for this grade, of 11th grade, he was actually up to maybe, I would say, 9th grade English, which was actually good for him when he hadn't done school for like 3 or 4 years. He refused. And what is this one? This one is 13. 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so fast forward now, he is 17. Even though physically he's 17, mentally he is still childlike. He does have better communication, but as to what he really understands or not, we're still not quite sure, because most of his communications at home is still echolalia, which is where he repeats phrases over and over and over and over again. And but he has come pretty far in the last couple years, especially with Tracy's help, this speech therapist. Because not only did she, of course, I didn't find out till a couple years ago that, I thought speech therapy, of course, because when I was a kid, speech therapy was to help you with when you mispronounced you had the problems with the slurring and the problems with certain words because of the letters and stuff like that. Because that was my biggest problem. But with Keegan, his was, he learned a lot of stuff through that. He learned the language, the speech patterns and things like that, to where, if we were to ask him a question, he could answer it, and for the most part, we would have small conversations. But most of it is stories that he makes up, and we have to try to remember the answers to it, just things that have happened a couple years ago, but he remembers like date, time, stuff like that, and we're like, yeah, sure, we remember. No, we don't. 13, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. But with him being 17, he's about to be 18, and we will have to go and petition guardianship of him, because he will most likely never be able to live on his own, because he's just so childlike and he doesn't understand the nuance. He knows he has to do chores in order to be able to, watch TV or get his tablet to play with and stuff. But he's still like, if he doesn't want to do something, he will refuse and stuff. And I'm like, sweetie, there are just certain things you can't do. I mean, it's alright to refuse some things. But other things you have to do in order to, get things. Like, and like, when you get older, you're going to want to be able to work, right? To make money, to be able to buy, your food and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well then you have to follow the directions of what your boss tells you to do. Stuff like that. I'm not sure if he's just not understanding it or what, or anything like that. So I'm like, but I mean, I have taught him like a lot of, I don't know what it's called. Well, he does know the hygiene part, although I have to remind him a lot. He has a hard time remembering it. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that part is always usually interesting. And I mean, he does know how to cook, because I have taught him how to cook, because he's always been interested in that. I just have to stay in the kitchen with him when he does it. So, don't blow up the house. Although he is actually far better, even though he's childlike, he's far better with the cooking than his sister. And, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. He would sit there and, I have, within the time frame that he wasn't in school and not doing actual schoolwork, I used that time to teach him life necessities like shopping, how to budget his money. I would give him his, because he has SSI, so I would give him a certain amount of money to teach him how to shop. He would have to get things that he needed, whether it be, food-wise. I did the main part, I did, your meats and your dinners and stuff like that. He had to take care of his lunches. So if he wanted certain things for his lunches, he had a budget for that. Plus, I taught him also, hey, you gotta be able to get things you need, like clothes, shoes, and stuff, whatever. He liked it when he could get his own wallet to hold his money and stuff in. He didn't like he had to buy his own belt. It was comical. But I'm like, you certain amount of SSI. But what I'm showing you how to budget your money to kind of last for the month. And of course, you gotta use some of it to pay the bills. And then, you know, I taught him how to wash. You know, use the washing machine and the dryer when necessary, but mostly hang up the clothes on the line to save from the electricity bill. Okay, 3 more to do, and stuff like that. And he was doing good there for a couple of years. It's straight on. He had a schedule. When he did his his bed stuff and his clothes, now he slacks on it, and I have to keep reminding him. He even regressed one time to the point of where I'm like, dude, no, please, I do not have the patience or the time to have to deal with adult diapers for you. Practically, you need to pay attention to your body signals. Stuff like that. Although I can't say anything, I sometimes have a hard time realizing that I need to go. Weird as it is being 49. But that's another thing, as in one of my videos, I think I mentioned that I am undiagnosed, but probably, what the frick did I just do? Whitney Mullins. Okay, what number was that? That was 18, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Somebody could have said something to me, you know? I'm like, I'm saying. What am I doing? I can do that. Do that. There we go. My brain is confuddled today. Nineteen is hardly orange pink. I don't like pink. I think it's only a small amount. I'm with Mushy on that. Do not like pink. Although, I did have a shirt one time in my, like 19, 20 years old, 21, something like that. And it was, of course, kind of Mushy's favorite color, the brown. But around the collar, it had a little bit above the collar, above the sleeve hems, and the bottom of the waist hem was a, I wouldn't say like a neon pink, but it was a very bright, like a hot pink, I guess. And it actually went well with the brown. So that will be about the only time I have ever worn actual pink. Because I just do not like pink. And I didn't even realize that that was in her face on the picture here. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on that for Keegan. And I know I kind of rattled on about him, I'm sorry. But since you heard him for his nighttime ritual, I was just trying to tell you a little bit about him. That is that. I'm done with the kid up of, I don't know, the Timu ones just do not have a name. So I kind of make up a name, or if anybody has seen this or have done this, let me know if you have a name for it. Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry. Pull that up enough right there like that. Set the scissors there. Ah, behave now, dagnabbit. This is what I do so I can match my things. I take washi tape. And usually it's a lot bigger, but I will set it across the bottom here. There we go. Alright. So now we will be able to tell which containers go to this picture. But I actually do plan on setting up at least 2 more. So that way, once I get done, I can quickly kit down if I have my container things situated. And then I could just leave them here until I'm ready. Sorry to do this, the containers. But I am going to be doing another kit up, or 2 more. One I'm thinking of doing as a whip and chat. And I guess you could say this was like a whip and chat. In fact, it's a work in progress. I was trying to get it up to work on it, and I chatted. I think y'all are going to be my new therapy sessions. Hold on to your seats then, because there's a lot to unpack. But with that, if you have liked this, then please like, share if you would like, and subscribe. And thank you very much for sitting with me. Merry part. And good night. Good evening.